All right.
Well, James just snorted his line, so we're good to go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Now. Don't wait for the translation.
We all know that James can't afford cocaine.
No, I just crush that Vivarin pill, so.
Vivarin. You can't afford. You don't even have Vivarin money.
Oh,
Yeah, you have like that generic Walmart brand.
I do. I totally have Vivarin money. The secret is to wait till it expires and they put it in the dumpster for free.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then you get into the knife fight with all the hobos for. So how did you come out?
Why the hell would a hobo want Vivarin?
Why wouldn't he?
I think you'd want to sleep most of your day from the misery, but maybe being a hobo was amazing. I don't know. If you have a shotgun and whatnot, I guess you can make up your own rules.
I mean, they have to run really fast to get on them trains.
That's true.
I don't think I've ever actually had a Vivarin. I'm sure James has, though.
Oh, God, yeah. I've had, if it's a caffeinated thing, I've had
Joe, you need a nap.
I could use a nap.
Yeah, we could tell. You're not very lively today. Plus, those bags underneath your eyes could probably carry a couple cantaloupes.
Been there for 20 years. I call it the Tommy Lee syndrome. Jones, not the hepatitis.
Yeah.
Jones, not the hepatitis. All right, gentlemen. So, welcome to Bonehead. This week's episode is about. I get confused. So, what we're going to do? We did TV theme songs.
Yeah.
Are we doing theme songs about movies? Are we doing soundtracks of movies?
We're doing songs from movies. It can be instrumental. It can be the lyrics. I mean, mine are all going to be like the movie where the big blockbuster, the big hit from the soundtrack that more than likely wasn't even in. Well, except in my instance, all three were. But sometimes the song was not even in the damn movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of mine actually mention the movie. Like the title of the song, almost always. I got a few honorable mentions. But most of the time, you're going to be like, oh, okay, you're not going to have to ask, what movie is that from again? Because it's the same title.
Yeah, because, for example, with mine, all three, two. I'll be honest, guys, my first pick's a junk pick, but I had to do it for the sheer humor of it. But anyway, no, it's just, movies used to have a big song every summer. And, that would be the song that they play on the radio constantly.
Oh, yeah.
It would, that was the song you would hear. And it's basically marketing for the movie. Now, I know not all of our picks might not be that. It may be instrumentals. But the two that I picked, two of my major picks are that type of song.
Yeah, none of mine are instrumentals because I was like, I'll hold on to instrumentals in case we do something later with instrumentals. But so I'm much like with Chad. Most of mine it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's from that movie.
Well, I don't know that I quite have that because I feel like there's like three different episodes we could have done. We could have done the greatest movie scores, we could have done the greatest movie theme songs, and then we could have done the best movie soundtracks. And I have a combination of all three of those things.
Well, and I think if we wanted to do I think we could do an entire episode about drops, right?
It's called Needle Drop.
Needle Drops, thank you.
Yeah. It's called Needle Drop. So Needle Drop, and we've talked about this on episodes previous, is where you just like one of the best examples, because John Landis taught me this anyway. He didn't teach me and show up. I just know it from documentaries and interviews. American Werewolf in London has some of the best needle drops. It has Blue Moon. It has 3, if not 4 versions of Blue Moon.
Yeah. And
Bad Moon Rising. And what that is that's the music needle dropped into the movie, and you're like, I see the bad moon rising. McNaughton or Naughton, John Naughton, what's his name? David Naughton. David Naughton's walking around the apartment because he's not hungry, waiting to turn into a vampire that night. And the music that's playing over
the werewolf, sir.
Different version. There's like the Blue Moon of the Platter place at the end.
It's a werewolf. You said vampire. It's a werewolf.
Did I say vampire?
You did. Waiting to turn into a vampire. Like werewolf. It's a werewolf.
Yeah, he turns into a werevamp.
It's not a vampire in London.
For our audience, Joe seems very tired today.
Just a lot of stuff. So anyway, but there is a lot of different needle drop music. The issue is that when I started thinking of the songs that I liked, they're too damned iconic. I can't talk about Ghostbusters. I can't talk about The Power of Love. Because James probably will talk about The Power of Love.
No, I can't talk about
It'll keep you home at night, I hear.
I was going to say, I can't talk about The Power of Love because it's too mysterious a thing.
Nice.
But you hear those songs, and I if you're of a certain age, you have to see Marty McFly on a skateboard. Or if you see a skateboard, you think power of love will keep you up at night or whatever it is. Yeah. Don't take money. Don't take fame. You don't need no credit card to ride this train.
And to me, by the way, I do equate that song with Back to the Future, but nothing's more Back to the Future than Got to Get Back in Time.
He wrote two.
Yeah,
He was given the assignment of one, and he came back with two.
Yeah, which actually, and you mentioned Ghostbusters. He was offered the chance to write the tune for that and turned it down. But
was he really? I didn't know that. That's funny.
Didn't know that. That's why there's that whole lawsuit about why the actual.
Well, I thought the lawsuit is because Ghostbusters is basically want a new drug.
I'm sorry. And that's actually the song they played in the background to get the beat down for when they have the thing. They were actually playing that music going, well, when we replace it, we'll replace it with something that sounds vaguely similar. It didn't sound vaguely similar.
Yeah. Huh. But the one thing, because when we first started talking about this episode, was when we were talking about this was the fact that the big movie theme song is dead now. Like it's not a thing anymore. It doesn't seem to be a thing, even unless you're a Pixar or a Disney movie.
I think I know who killed it.
Well, let me. I did some research on that because that was the first thing I did. Is I wanted to figure out why it isn't a thing anymore. Because, in terms of movie soundtracks lately, the most iconic one I can think of now is Guardians of the Galaxy Mixtape, and that is all pre-established,
which is all needle drop.
And I want to say real quick, Chad, before you go into the history, that it didn't have to be that way. I approached Marvel. I wrote tons of songs for the Avengers. They totally didn't even listen to it.
Every song you said was Avengers.
Yeah.
Why it was the Love Boat, I don't know, James.
It could. Well, listen.
And then it broke into in the middle of it for the bridge.
I was going to say, and it should have, because listen, as I'm going to talk about later, if other people can sample songs and make them new soundtracks, then by all means, why can't I?
Talent.
The Love Boat is ripe to be sampled.
It's called talent. And the person who I think killed it is the one who sampled the most, but keep going, Chad.
Well, yeah, and you can jump in at the end of this because I don't have anything on that one. Because I researched, I did a solid day's worth of research trying to figure out.
24 hours.
No, 6 hours.
Keep going.
Ignored his
anyway,
family,
I did 6 hours. I just was like constantly Googling why isn't there.
No, I should have. That would have been
the movie theme song. And the best article I could find was actually sorry. Go ahead.
It's the God thing. It's funny. Sorry.
No, I just didn't hear it.
Now I'm gonna put an image of Jesus behind Chad and be like, hey, can I get some milk from your fridge?
No. Let's do Family Guy. No, let's do American Dad. I'm pretty sure I asked for pecan
sandies.
Anyway, Chad.
That is the cardboard of all cookies, I'm telling you. Anyway. No, the best thing I could find was from a 2000 article from the Orange County Register, of all places, written by Christy Lemire. And because she did a whole in-depth article about this, interviewed several people in the music industry about why this is a dead thing. And essentially the number one thing is movie makers just started using they'd rather prefer to use pre-existing music that they know that already exists that captures the tone of their movies, like Quentin Tarantino, rather than pay a songwriter, find an artist to sing that song after they, just all that stuff. They just prefer to use what already exists versus having to create it from scratch. This is actually a 3-parter. The other is modern radio. Kid Kelly, he's a DJ. And this is just speculation on his part. And he's quoted as saying, "Of course, radio has changed vastly and become more genre specific over the past decade, which hurts enormous movie songs with attendant mass appeal. Adult contemporary stations where many of these movie themes traditionally had been popular can be broken down even further into hot, urban, soft subgroups. There's so much fragmentation out there. It's hard to find the right song. So my guess is they just stopped looking." And then the third aspect of that came from Sandra Lersch. She wrote music for Dan in Real Life. She thinks audiences' taste have simply changed. It was a different time for songwriters back in the early 80s. She's referring to the early 80s. she started thinking immediately about Burt Bacharach's song from Arthur. It's
Burt
impossible
Bacharach,
today.
He didn't sing it.
No, it was Christopher Cross, right?
When you get,
I don't know, Chad, but I do know.
In New York City, right?
Yeah.
I know.
I need to look that up,
but it's true.
I think it's
I
Christopher
do
Cross.
know. I'm not an expert on
Otherwise known as
Christopher
Christopher.
Cross, but I do know that Criss Cross will make you jump.
Jump.
So will Vivarin.
Not if you build up taller.
No. The Criss Cross and the Mac Daddy make you want to jump. Anyway, it's just so unfashionable in a way. It would be perhaps a great song and a great moment in a film, but it would never be a huge hit. It would never have a pop culture impact. It wouldn't be played on commercial radio. So that's the best I could find.
I think I want to add another thing to that, and it actually made me think about it because I can remember, and if you're under the age of about 18, you don't remember, but there was a time when there was a television channel that played music videos. And that was free advertising as well. So you could go ahead and make your thing. And I can remember, and to say, I think people forget how big of an impact that was, because I can remember a song that I almost included jokingly, but the theme song that Will Smith did for Wild Wild West, Wiki Wiki Yo Yo Bang Bang.
Yeah.
I can remember MTV had a countdown to the premiere of that video. And I mean, it was a big deal. Oh, you're going to see Will Smith's new album, new blah, 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 his new song for Wild Wild West. And it was a countdown in the corner. And that MTV doesn't show music videos anymore. And so it was free advertising. And yes, Joe's raising his hand. So I guess I need to stop talking. But I just wanted to point that out. That's the other side of it, I think, because how many people were aware of Ghostbusters because they watched MTV and that song got played? How many people, all of these things got not play only on radio. I think you're right, Chad. I think those articles are valid, but I also think MTV doesn't play music videos anymore. So why are you going to make a big budget music video? Because some of those,
a lot of great directors came out of music videos. David Fincher being the one off the top of my head, and a lot of those famous Hollywood directors like Joel Schumacher actually directed one, if not two, of the videos from the movie at the time, such as Seal, A Kiss from a Rose.
Well, and we mentioned
directed by Joel Schumacher.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters. The Ghostbuster video was directed by Ivan Reitman.
I don't think so.
Check it. I could be wrong, but I'm.
All right, I may be wrong too, but I don't think so.
I think he got credit for it at least.
He directed a third of it because a lot of it's the footage from the movie.
Yeah.
The thing, gentlemen, I actually think the first one's right from the lady
Joe's internet
Chad was talking about. What'd you say?
No, your internet kicked out again, but go ahead.
Oh, I think the first one's right from the lady you were talking about, and I think James is right with the last one, and I think Will Smith killed it. And actually, that's what I was going to say. I cannot, off the top of my head, tell you a major music video promotion or any of that stuff after Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Killed it.
Yeah, because Will Smith every summer had a big hit. Yeah. And Men in Black was the Men in Black video and the Wild. I'm glad we're all three on the same wavelength because I literally
think Wild Wild West killed it.
I cannot remember a huge music video song after Wild Wild West.
I can't either, and I think it killed it. And I don't know that it's a terrible song. I just think it is a terrible movie. The
song's not that great.
It has some good scenes in it. Most of them come from one great character actor, but it is a bad movie. It is, and I really think, and for you all brought this up, that's what I was going to say is I think Will Smith killed it. Now, I can't blame Will Smith is a very talented man. He's a good actor, but he killed the music video. And it probably is out of fashion now. I think you could bring it back. I don't know that I buy that radio thing because there's always a summer hit, except for maybe this summer. I don't know what it is this summer. But there's usually a summer hit that we all kind of know or listen to. I mean,
but that's transferred away from movies, that's always been a thing. Is that there's always been a summer music hit. I still
believe if the movie was if the song is poppy enough, it would play.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing with that. And like I said, everything is circular. We will eventually sometime get back to the big movie theme song. It will happen. It's just, everything happens in cycles. It's old and outdated now. 10 years from now, we'll have it again.
Speaking of scores, really quick, I'm pretty sure Jerry Goldsmith talked about this. You can Google it. I may be wrong. Could be an Ennio Morricone. I'm joking. I don't think it's Ennio Morricone.
Did you say Morricone?
I can't. Yeah.
Okay, just checking. You were waking up. Good job.
He invented radio. So, and he wrote the theme to John Carpenter's The Thing. There's two people. You're the only two that laughed at that.
Yeah,
now,
I know.
Jerry Goldsmith talked about this, that one of his big problems, and Jerry Goldsmith wrote a lot of great music for a lot of movies, Alien being off the top of my head, although he always hated the fact that he picked certain things from Alien, that there was this huge score, and Ridley pickpocketed a lot of it. And some of it's actually from another movie that he took Jerry Goldsmith's music from another movie and put in there, by the way. Google any of this shit. It's fascinating if you're into making films. He talked about the hardest thing to do when talking to directors was, well, what is your idea of love? What do you want it to sound like? Because I've heard, what's his hell does Spielberg's music? Why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? This is so sad that I can't.
Oh my God.
I just made everybody
John Williams?
John Williams. John Williams talked about, for example, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Spielberg knew that he wanted X, and he knew he wanted ba, 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 ba. He wanted 4 beats, right? That's what he wanted for his movie. So it's easy enough for them to have a conversation about that. But Goldsmith was talking to most directors, well, your idea of love is the fucking Beach Boys. And he actually used that example, is the Beach Boys. What am I supposed to do to that when I'm trying to make a score? So it's really, I can get where the communication breaks down, and directors, if you're probably prescribing or subscribing, I should say, to the tour method of this is what I want, like Tarantino and other people with Needle Drop, but this is what I had in mind, and this is what we're going to use.
Well, I think your point's valid.
I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent.
But no, I think your point is valid too, because I think that's one of the things that, and matter of fact, actually, it's made fun of by Mystery Science Theater 3000. There's tons of movies that have a love theme. Yeah. The love theme from, and matter of fact, the Mystery Science Theater 3000, the like closing love story. The closing song is actually called, the one that plays over the final credits.
For anybody listening, I'm having Basil Hayden.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 is called the love theme from Mystery Science Theater 3000, and Joel Hodgson did that because it's so popular. By the way, we know IMDb can be wrong from our fellow puber, but Ivan Reitman is listed. Ivan Reitman
listed as the director
of the Ghostbusters music video by Ray Park.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what it says on the
thing. Because I've been told something different. I'm sorry. I'm not arguing with you.
No. I don't know. I'm just going by what I've read, and there's 2 sources I saw.
Well, thank God we've got Ivan coming on the show in a month, and he's going to tell us exactly what happened.
Do we? Do we really have him?
No.
Yeah, no.
Is this going to be another time when you make me dress up as Ivan Reitman? Because I'm tired of it, Joe.
Somebody's dad. Oh, you are.
I'm tired of it. Dad. I am somebody. That's one of Bruce Campbell's greatest lines. He was doing a signing. I think it was at Joseph Beth, and somebody says, "You look like somebody's dad," and he screamed out, "I am somebody's dad."
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Do you mind if I start with my first one?
Go for it.
None of you all are going to have this because neither
one. If you take mine after you say nobody has it, I'll punch you.
There's no way in hell.
Oh, wait. We got to put a caveat on this before you go, Joe. We all got to swear to one another that the person who picks My Heart Will Go On gets kicked in the nuts.
I didn't pick it.
I don't care. Don't say who, but if it happens,
right? What's my list?
Somebody's getting kicked in the nuts, right?
Here's some lyrics from my song. My song is the only one written by Robert and Richard Sherman and sang by Bobby Darin. None of you have that.
No.
Aha. While the city sleeps, every night he creeps, just surveying his domain. He roams around like he owns the town. He's the king. He makes the plane. He knows every trick, doesn't miss a lick. When it comes to keeping fat, some city slicker, no one is quicker than, you're right, that darn cat.
Oh, my God. Really?
That's not one of my favorites, but I was actually showing the original That Darn Cat to my kid.
Bobby Darin
sang that song? I did not know. So I watched that movie quite a bit when I was a kid. It was one of my mom's favorites. And by the way, the remake of it is absolutely awful. The original
was the original.
No, it's not. The original was about 20 minutes too long, but it's not.
I remember the original being boring.
Yes, it's pretty boring.
It's an hour and 50 minutes. It's about 20 minutes too long, but it's not awful. It's directed by the same guy that it doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit. But I didn't know that it was sang by Bobby Darin and written by the Sherman Brothers. I mean, it makes sense that it was written by the
it's
Sherman
Disney,
Brothers.
so yeah, it makes
But
sense.
Bobby Darin. Anyway, that's not my pick.
We're gonna go see Bobby Darin at the Tropicana.
So wait, you just did a pick, and then you're saying that's not your pick?
Yeah, fuck you people. So my pick is the soundtrack to this. There's a lot of Elfman out there of instrumental music, but as far as one that I own and that I can listen to, and a lot of it is, what do they call it? It's there's an actual term for it, but it's basically elephant stomping, like through when you score a movie, it's not subtle, is the theme to Darkman. I know Sam Raimi's my favorite director, and I know a lot of Danny Elfman's music sounds alike, but this is the one that I actually may be my favorite. I know people pick other ones, but I think people should go back out and re-listen to Darkman. The music still holds up. It's amazing. I don't have a lot to say about any of it. I took up my time with that darn cat because I didn't know Bobby Darin sang it.
No, I didn't know that either. You got me.
Dark man, here comes the dark man. He can't be seen in the light because he's dark man.
I mean, we could do a whole show about the history of Darkman, but I really love the score by Danny Elfman. Next.
James, go ahead.
You want me? Okay. I've got to start with one that is historic. It literally has a place in film history by the Academy Awards. It needs to be talked about more, but the problem is it's also one of the most lampooned theme songs ever. Because Joe, who doesn't cop out when there's trouble all about? I'm talking about Shaft. The theme from Shaft. The theme from Shaft.
Well, he's a bad mother.
Award.
It won the Academy, and Isaac Hayes was the first African-American writer. He wrote it, he produced it, and obviously performed it. First African-American to win in the original music category.
Shut your mouth.
Yes. And the thing about it is, I mentioned Mystery Science Theater 3000. They use that all the time. But on top of that, The Simpsons have used it. Family Guy have used it. There have been so many parodies of that song that people forget what a big deal it was. Matter of fact, The Simpsons, when they wanted to make an allusion to it, Fox as a network, who had historically said, well, The Simpsons can get away with pretty much whatever they want, when they wanted to actually have a sample of that song, Fox wanted to block it because they said, it's too controversial. And then one of the Fox producers or somebody said, they play it on TBS. And they went, okay, then you can use it. As long as another station has done it, we'll let you do it. But it's if you've never heard the theme from the theme from Shaft.
Flash.
That's not one of my picks either. But the theme from Shaft is really historic. I mean, it is really
that is so good. And it is a fantastic song to start as you're driving out of your driveway as loud as you can crank it.
But you know what Shaft isn't? Savior of the Universe. Continue.
But anyway, Shaft.
Actually, I think Shaft's a better song.
Shaft. Well, and
there's no argument.
Some people point to Shaft actually as the however you feel about disco, as the match that lit the coming of disco. Is how some people have referred to it.
Really?
Because it does have
disco wasn't already on the scene.
What they say
when
that
it come out just 73.
Yeah, I think so. I think they meant that it more or less created a pop culture that people or more interested of sound. And I don't consider the theme from Shaft disco by any means. But it does have a very deep rhythm kind of to it. And of course you do have Isaac Hayes he's got that voice. And so it was number 2 in the soul category. So it went to number 1 on Billboard. And that's what everybody remembers. But there used to be something called the soul singles. And it went to number 2 on the soul singles, which was all soul music. I mean, and so it went that high in that very niche ranking system. But again, it produced, written, and performed by Isaac Hayes. And do you know the story about how he did the job? Why he did the job?
No, I don't even know how he got the job.
He wasn't interested in doing it. He didn't want to do a theme song for a movie. And I forget the producer, director, whoever it was, but one of them went to him and said, listen, we need a theme. We like your sound. And he said, well, listen, I'll do it if you'll let me audition to play him. And and they went, yeah, we'll let you audition. Well, at least they never let him audition, but he said, well, I kept up my side of the deal, even though they didn't keep up theirs. And he said the only thing that made him upset was Richard Roundtree was not a renowned actor either. And he goes, they didn't even give me a shot after they promised, but they gave him one.
Can I tell you a true story about him? He actually got pissed and was really mad at John Carpenter and really tried to get Deborah Hill and John Carpenter to put him back in Escape from L.A.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they told the story later saying, but you died.
Yeah.
You're the king of New York. You're #1. You died.
Yeah, he died horribly. He blew
got
up.
Shot.
Oh, yeah.
Shot by Donald Pleasance, screaming,
Which is
"You're #1. You're the king of New York."
Which is how so many people went back in the day. I mean, literally, shot
everybody
by
but Michael Myers.
Well, and that's not from Like a Trying.
I know. Donald Pleasance tried to blow him up, shoot him. Didn't work. Never worked.
Anyway, but yeah, no, if you've never heard the theme from Shaft, I don't know.
I don't know what planet you're on.
But I mean,
well, you're probably under 30.
Well, and now people think of, well, unless you've seen the remake, because he re-recorded it for the Samuel L. Jackson remake. I don't know if it's used in the most recent.
Is it used? I was about to say, is it used in the most?
I don't know,
because I don't think anybody remembers the remake either. It's not a memorable film.
No.
But I did want to say, I think people now think about it as this silly kind of pop culture thing, but it was first African American to win Best Original Score.
Shaft is how I got my RA job.
Because you're one bad mother.
Shut your mouth. No, I'll give you the short version. I was interviewing with a guy that's no longer around, Randy. You all know him, and Craig. And they were asking me my hobbies, and I was talking about movies and started talking about collecting movie memorabilia. And they asked me what something obscure or something I had. And I actually at the time I still have it, Shaft in Africa. He's got a big stick, and they both started laughing their ass off about me. I'm sure it was weird having a 19, 20-year-old in front of him talking about Shaft in Africa and having the LP.
I think, by the way,
because it's the Four Tops did the song for that. It's "Are You Man Enough? Big and Bad Enough? Are you able to slow them down, show them down, something?"
By the way, I want to mention Shaft in Africa. I think if you read, I don't know which edition it is.
It's Leonard Maltin's. I know exactly what story you're going to tell you.
Leonard Maltin's summary of Shaft goes to Africa and buries a dog. I was like, really, Leonard? That's all you got for that one? Okay.
I don't remember the dog part. I'm sure I've seen it.
He goes to Africa and he buries a dog.
I remember the song more than I remember the movie.
Okay. So me now? Okay.
Sure.
So this one is a throwaway. I'm just going to tell you it's a throwaway, but it has a catchy tune.
I did That Darn Cat by Bobby Darin.
Mine's worse, Joe. It's just a song that I heard when I was a kid, and it repeated in my head over and over again. I don't even know how I got it in my head or how I heard it, but it got in my head. So I'm just going to tell you some of the lyrics. The theme song still remains the same. The plot itself has hardly changed. A guarantee met, that is, fortune and fame. Anyone?
No.
Let me continue. We have no mighty shoguns, no flying spaceships or explosions, no James Bond cars, Top Gun jets, or real expensive fancy sets, but a deal we set for bit cassettes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, I thought about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but I don't remember that part of it. I remember the...
This is actually from the sequel, Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Is
okay.
In the sequel, or is he in the original?
George Clooney's in the sequel.
He's in the sequel. And John Astin's in both of them?
No, John Astin is only in the sequel.
Yeah, he's only in the sequel.
Well, so I think I only know the sequel.
Yeah, the first one, the first Killer Tomatoes has some funny funny moments to it. However, it's probably about 30 minutes too long when they realize they're out of gags.
Well, but I just remember the theme song so much more from the first one because you've got to remember Herbert Farbage while taking out his garbage. Yeah, and the second theme song actually has some elements of the first one. It's kind of a connecting tune, and then there's also Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the animated series that has the same has a similar version of the same song. It's a march, more or less, right? Yeah. It's more of a march. And it's written by John Badello. And I wanted to find some research on this song and the people who wrote it. There's nothing. Shocker, but no, it's just John Badello, aka the Burn Hollywood, Alan Smithy, the Alan Smithy.
I was going to say Max Shrek. I was going to go really obscure.
Max Shrek. When we said we were going to do this, when we had this, when we picked this, I had the two that I listed plus a whole plethora of more, bunch of more. But as I was writing stuff up, I just kept going, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And I was like, I got to talk about it because I was thinking of it while I was typing up this script. So that's my first pick.
Well, I was going to say, and by the way, it's still, I mean, the original, I've never heard the return one, evidently, but the original one is still on Halloween CDs. Like, I usually pick up a couple of Halloween CDs every year because I like Halloween music.
It is the exact same song with the exact same beats. It
Just
starts
with
out
different words.
Yeah, just different words. The song starts out really slow, but then it picks up really fast. Attack. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Well, I think people know the song more than they do the actual movies. I would imagine.
Or they just know the absurdity of a movie about tomatoes killing people.
Yeah.
By the way, the animated series you mentioned real quickly has one of my favorite lyrics that gets stuck in my head. Will Wilbur get rid of that dumb parachute? Because it has a character that has the parachute that he always drags behind him, but he refuses to take it. And it's only in the animated one as far as I know. But I just remember that lyric, and it occasionally pops into my head randomly. Will Wilbur get rid of that dumb parachute? And I can't. It's something that lasted, what, one season, if that? Yeah,
it lasted one season. But one of the absurd parts about the first, and I got to talk about this real quick, even though we're talking about theme songs. The first one, so it's the same group of people, these supposed heroes who are fighting the tomatoes. But in the first one, there's a guy who's a master of disguise, and he literally sits like around a bunch of tomatoes in a tomato suit and eating with them while he talks, things like that. But he's a really skinny individual, and he changes outfits throughout the movie. It's one absurd, stupid thing after another. But in the sequel, that same character is about 300 pounds and only dresses like the Lone Ranger.
Hey, time changes, man. Listen, James Doohan gave up smoking. He put on weight. It happens.
Joe, go on.
All right. So back in the day, as well as we were talking earlier, you would actually go out and buy the soundtrack for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So what I really wanted to do with most of my picks is that there was, like as I was saying earlier, I had a hard time because I think we could do 3 different shows. But I wanted to pick stuff that I actually owned, that I actually loved. And this particular soundtrack meant a lot to me when we talk about Needle Drop. And I bet a lot of people had it of a certain age, being my age.
By the way, Joe, okay.
It's got such a diverse sound to it, though.
It's a very diverse soundtrack.
You got the Statler brothers counting flowers on.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So we have the Statler brothers. You had the Tornadoes. You had Al Green.
But there's no original songs on that, right? This is all kind of like we're saying now, where everything is already existing content.
The only thing that was original content is the actual excerpts from the movie.
Right. Okay.
Or Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon is actually, which is by Urge Overkill, is actually a cover of an older song, isn't it? I think so. That was one of those that was big on MTV, if you guys remember, was the video for that.
I do.
Yeah, by Urge Overkill. And hold on, there was one more on here that I can't remember. It may have been, actually, of course, I have this.
Quentin Tarantino does not use any, like, all of his stuff is pre-existing unless it's instrumental, right?
There is, most of the instrumental stuff is pre-existing. The only I think, Ennio Morricone, I keep saying Morricone, who just died, was a great Italian composer. If you don't know who he is, Google him. The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, which I could do a whole damned episode on, which I think people know and don't know even know the movie.
I knew Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, by the way. I knew it in its original form. It's Neil Diamond.
Right. I didn't think Urge Overkill.
I was like, I know that song because it's one that I know my dad has played at some point, and it's Neil Diamond.
Right. So the only time I can tell you, Chad, other than Morricone doing the music for the Hateful Eight, which, by the way, yes, is a Western, but is a remake of The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, to be precise. I think anybody who's seen The Thing, and a lot of people talked about it going, damn, that's a lot of The Thing in there. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's stealing. I just think there's a lot of him taking in John Carpenter's The Thing for that movie. Anyway, it's for Kill Bill Volume 2, Robert Rodriguez. That's all original for that by Robert Rodriguez. And he and, of course, Rodriguez are close friends, or were. Next.
Now they're blood enemies. I have no data about it.
It's Hollywood, man. It's Hollywood.
Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
Chinatown.
Is it me again?
That Chinatown soundtrack that was done by Bob Denver. Can you imagine Bob Denver doing a theme song for Chinatown? How do you work the word incest into it? It's funny in my head. I don't really care about anybody else laughing. If you've never seen Chinatown, do yourself a favor and get yourself some Polanski. Oh, wait. No, probably should have said it that way.
James, get us out of this.
Yeah, Joe's already alluded to this, but I do have to bring up, I mean, I don't think you can talk about soundtracks that mention the title of the name. Obviously, we're not doing Ghostbusters because that's obvious. But I think that the second most obvious, and if you're younger than we are, it is Men in Black. And Men in Black, by the way, of course, samples "Forget Me Not" by what's her name, Patrice Rushen. I may be mispronouncing it, Patrice Rushen. And if you've never heard that song, the chorus to that song is "Here's some forget-me-nots, please don't," to help you remember, which of course became "We Are the Men in Black, we won't let you remember." So it's a big sample of that. It's basically a remake of that song.
Everything he did was a sample.
And but in defense of Will Smith, he's not the only one that was doing it for soundtracks at the time. You had
a statement of fact.
You had Puff Daddy or P Diddy or Diddy
sampling Zeppelin
for Godzilla and all of that.
Kashmir for "Come With Me."
Yeah.
Hell, what's his face? Shit, I forgot the guy from Zeppelin. He plays the album. He does the guitar.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. Will Smith is credited as the writer for Men in Black, but it also credits Patrice Rushen, who's still very active. You can actually, she had an album I think come out last year or a couple years ago that won a Grammy. Terry McFadden and Freddie Washington. Freddie Washington is the one that did the kind of deep bass that when you hear that song, you're like, oh, it's Men in Black. And he's the same guy. But it is, so yeah, I mean, the original lyric was, to help you remember. And so they just basically looked for low-hanging fruit. Right. And by the way, I shouldn't say low-hanging fruit. You couldn't give me a song and be like, okay, James, make this match a movie. My best would be Weird Al's worst, right? So I shouldn't say low-hanging fruit. But Will Smith is immensely talented. And he made something that was really catchy. I mean, that album sold really, really well. It did go to number 1 on the Billboard charts.
I'm sure it did.
Sort of the same way Ghostbusters did. And that's why I say for a certain age group, Men in Black has a certain place like Ghostbusters does for me. My younger sister always loved Men in Black. And so it's kind of Ghostbusters for her. She's about 7 years younger than I am. So anyway.
But do you think Men in Black has carried over with time like Ghostbusters? I don't think it has.
I think no. I
don't hear it at Halloween. I don't hear it.
No. Well, and I think the reason for that is they went back to the well too. Like somebody made the comment, do you think if we had nonstop Ghostbusters that it would still have the same effect that it did?
Yes. I do. I really do. Yeah, because the first one, and I know that's one of the few things we all three agree on, but
yeah,
that first movie it's about damn near. Don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect movie. There's no such thing as a perfect movie, but it's damn near perfect, and it's a lot of it by accident and timing.
Yeah.
I think they could have done a couple more. Hell, they did the series, James.
No, I agree. It's just the argument because I think I haven't seen Men in Black International yet, and that's got a great.
It's awful. It's
cast.
Like a TV movie. It's
really
so bad. Yeah, it's like someone heard. I watched it 3 weeks ago. It's one Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yeah.
Someone heard. What'd you say? Someone heard of a Men in Black pitch and go, "Oh, that was popular. We should do something like that. Only let's mix it up a little bit and let's make it international." It's pretty bad.
Well, and by the way, if you're a Men in Black movie fan and you've never read the original comic, which was by Aircell, which became Malibu.
It's not even close to the comic, is it?
No, I mean, Jay was more. I'm sorry, Kay. Kay was basically the Liam Cunningham created the Men in Black, and his pitch or the way he wrote it was that he viewed Kay as, I think the way he summed it up was, imagine Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry raped Satan and they had a baby. And I mean, and if you read any of them, when Malibu got bought out by Marvel, so Marvel actually, if you watch the credits of the first movie, it actually gives credit to Marvel. Well, that's not really true. It's corporately, yeah. But Aircel was an independent press, and then it got bought out by Malibu. So Malibu was also an independent-ish press. It came to be a pretty big company. It got the rights to Star Trek for a while. I say all that to say, though, when the movie came out and they reprinted some of the original comics, and then they did an update, and they brought Liam Cunningham back. The first time it was under Marvel, there's an entire thing where it's supposed to be when Jay first joins, and it's a flashback, and he won't get out of the way for Kay to shoot. So Kay shoots through him and has to get him into this machine to save him. But he literally starts screaming, "You're shooting me, Kay." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't care. If you die, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have to stop this. The rest of the world doesn't care if you live. My job is to protect the world." And he literally blows his friend apart, or blows his other fellow agent apart. It is not the movie that we see on the screen. I don't think we'll ever see Liam Cunningham's original version of that. It would be a hard R. That being said, I just think the song is, I will argue, and no offense meant to Will Smith, because obviously he's doing a lot better, and obviously his acting is still going on. But I think Men in Black, no offense meant to the Wiki Wiki Yo Yo Bang Bang Wild Wild West, but I think it's the last pop culture, just everything about that movie at the time. I mean, the sale of Ray-Bans went up, the sale of the websites, all of that stuff. He hit the nail on the head, and that Men in Black song is catchy. When you play it, it's popcorn. It's not gonna change your world, but it was a perfect synthesis of the movie coming out, everything. Got to give some credit to Men in Black. Now slide with me. Now slide.
All right, so my next pick is actually going to be one where this is actually the first cassette tape I ever owned.
Hanson, it came out on CD too,
right? But when I heard this song on this movie, I had to go out and buy it. And I know we said we're not talking about Ghostbusters because we all agree. However, so they packed up their group, got a grip, came equipped, grabbed the proton packs, and they split. Found out about Vigo,
a master
of evil. They tried to battle my boys.
That's on Reeve.
That's not legal.
That's not legal? Shit, I always get it wrong.
On our own.
Control.
Bobby Brown, Ghostbusters 2.
I had the single cassette tape.
It was the first CD I bought. And I can remember it because that was back when CDs came in that impenetrable fortress.
Yep.
Like they had to call somebody from electronics to open it. And then even the one you got home, it still had the thing around it that you had to cut off to get to the normal CD part that we know about today.
Right.
Yeah. I just remember that.
And I'll be honest. So we all agree that the theme song to Ghostbusters is good, but I'm gonna say controversially that the Bobby Brown on her own has a more impact on me than the original Ghostbusters.
It may be a better song, but it doesn't. No, because I can't hear the opening. I'm like,
no. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of me as a kid, just now experiencing something new music wise, and I hear that, and it changed a lot for me. And it's like, it's Bobby Brown. Why is Bobby Brown? But it's on her own, and it was huge at the time too.
It's in the movie.
Yeah, and by the way, the music video. I'll get into that. But it was recorded in 1989. It peaked at and I can't believe this was a ranking. I don't know if it is still now because I don't care about Billboard charts. But it peaked at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Black Singles chart for 1 week, and it went on to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks. So it was massive during the summer of 1989. The video itself was released in June of 1989. I don't know if have you all ever seen it?
Yeah.
I know the Run DMC video.
It's been a long time. I'm sure I have seen it, but I don't have any recollection of it whatsoever.
So it's a terrible music video. I'm just going to be, it's shots of New York, beautiful shots of New York, and it's Bobby Brown appearing with like a bright yellow color background and he changes suits, and it's just him singing through a video screen on parts of the building, and then he'll be on one building performing, right. And then on the building that's catty corner.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, on the building on the catty corner, they're playing clips of Ghostbusters 2. And then there's celebrity people. There's celebrity cameos in it, like as the song progresses.
Like the Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters doing things around New York. Cameos. Like Christopher Reeves on a bicycle, and he looks up, and it's supposed to be Bobby Brown singing on a building.
I have got to watch that because, I mean, Danny DeVito, John Candy. Who else is a celebrity cameo in the first Ghostbusters?
Chevy Chase.
Al
Franken is in the first.
And the cameos in the second one are not near that epic. I'm going to list off the highlights. The first one's Jane Curtin.
She's probably big at the time.
Malcolm Forbes.
Once again, say what you will about Jane Curtin, but we all know that she's
an ignorant slut.
Listen, Jane, it's dried up slunk meat. I never got that line, but I wish I could call somebody that. Listen, you dried up slunk meat.
I'm sure you could do it once.
Once. Let me get tenure.
Yeah.
But it's Malcolm Forbes, Joey and Marky Ramone.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher and one of them's playing a sax and the other one's just standing there in front of a group of people.
Well, why the Ramones?
I don't know.
None of them be buried in a pet cemetery.
It's going to get weirder. Christopher Reeve,
Ramones.
As I mentioned, Christopher Reeve, and he just shows up on a bicycle wearing a bicycle's outfit, and that's it. And he does not look Superman-esque at all. And then finally, a certain man walks out of a building, turns around. Donald Trump.
Of course it is. He's in Home Alone too.
And it's amazing. It's normally, back then I probably thought that was cool, but it actually pissed me off and I had to turn off the music video.
I always thought he was, you're talking about cool, but I always thought he was slunk meat 20 years ago.
Oh no, I always thought he was trash. Oh my God, guys. My kids, last night,
they told you about their new Republican theories.
No, I introduced them to
talk about how people are just keeping the white man down.
I introduced them to the early 90s version of the Little Rascals, and they were so into it. And then at the end, guess who makes a cameo? Really? And I immediately wanted to turn on.
I don't remember.
So I guess Home Alone 2 doesn't play in your house.
No, that does too. I know that was coming.
Really quick, the thing about that is, I didn't know about that cameo. I mean, I remember the music video once you started talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that pops up on. But I didn't remember that cameo. But it does make sense that I know at one point, if you go back and look at some of the original ideas they had for part 3, at one point it was going to be they cross over the other side, and they were going to go to Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be ran by, and they actually said, we need Donald Trump to play that role. Yeah. I'm like, what in the world? How? Anyway.
No. So I know we just got on a rant that we shouldn't have gotten on probably for this episode, but it was, and that's the cameo that they ended on.
That being said, real quick
hold on, really quick, we should have went off on it. I mean, it's up to, let's let our fan decide.
Yeah.
That's for the fans. The one.
You're welcome.
By the way, though, you mentioned that soundtrack, and I know you're just talking about one song, but that also has Flesh and Blood on it by Oingo Boingo.
Oh, really? Oh.
And I play that song every Halloween. If you don't remember Flesh and Blood, it actually has a creepy vibe to it. It's very much 80s, but it's got a very creepy vibe. After all, we're
I always just remember Dead Man. Is it Dead Man Walking?
Dead Man's Party.
Dead Man's Party, which is actually in another great 80s film, Back to School.
Oingo Boingo has great Halloween music. Like if you buy their greatest hit, it basically just play it at Halloween. That's what it's for. It should be at least.
I didn't know Oingo Boingo had a greatest hit.
I also wanted to mention, actually, the last performance they did when they were wrapping everything up, it's great. Seriously, I wanted to mention 2 songs that don't get any credit from that soundtrack. One, I think Bonehead Twitter. Hold on, I'm having an episode. Anyway, Bonehead Twitter tweeted out and tagged Elton John asking him when he was going to if he would perform at his final concert if he would just perform one last time, "Love is a Cannibal."
That's in Ghostbusters 2?
2, yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I don't
Love
have the
is a Cannibal.
soundtrack either, though. I remember
The other
exactly
song,
what the soundtrack
though,
looks like. It's a blue cover with the cast on it.
Yeah.
Right.
it's up in the cabinet right above me, by the way. I keep it upstairs so I can put it in the DVD player sometimes when I'm working, because I just need background. But it's got Ghostbusters by Run DMC. It does have On Our Own, and it's got We're Back by Bobby. We're Back. Anyway,
Yeah.
obviously the cover of Higher and Higher, for obvious reasons for that movie. But it also has Spirit by Doug E. Fresh.
Oh, really?
Some people fear it. Some people something. Then some people,
won't go near it. But as long as I'm me, and I know you're you, the Ghostbusters are back.
Yeah.
I
Better
think
late
that's
than never.
That is a great soundtrack. I don't care who says.
It's okay. But it's fun.
No, I enjoy it. I mean, it's not. To be honest, to me, it is the first one I have a warmer place in my heart for because, like Joe said,
Yeah.
but it is about like the first soundtrack to me. Like there's about 4 songs on there. I will listen to Elton John do "Love Is a Cannibal" because I do wonder. That was still when Elton John may have been in a little bit of his drug phase, and you can tell it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah.
Doesn't make necessarily a ton of sense, but there's about 3 or 4 songs on the soundtrack. They'll be like, yeah, I'll listen to that. And then the other ones, I'm like, no, no, skip. And it's about like that for the first one. Ray Park wins, but the rest of them.
Right. Am I last?
Always.
I was trying to pick things that were in my cabinet because I wanted to pick something that I enjoyed listening to.
Is that the cabinet you got off Dr. Kilgore?
Thank you. It's Caligari. Yes, I really did.
I didn't know. I don't know him. I know Kilgary. I know Kilgary.
The steps were slanted and it was bluish green out for some reason. You think one silent film fan out there is going, ah! So back to Dr. Caligari. The one I had, I think somebody ran off with this damn thing when they were still in the fog. I couldn't find it, but this is it's a soundtrack. I can't pick just one song because there's actually 2 or 3 really damn good songs on the soundtrack, but the movie was a bomb. Came out in the summer of '93, was supposed to kick the ass of another picture coming out that summer with some guy named Steve. It had these Jurassic World Park things. It was supposed to kick his ass, but it turns out Last Action Hero, even with its Burger King tie-in and all that, failed to hit the box office gold.
Rubber Baby. Yeah, never mind.
Here's what I find fascinating about the sound. Well, it's not really fascinating. I find it interesting because not only does it have 2 or 3 good songs from people who are on their way out, like Def Leppard actually probably has one of Def Leppard's best songs, 2 Steps Behind. If you've ever listened, it's an instrumental song. It doesn't even particularly sound like Def Leppard. Kevin Shelton and I, here's a shout out to Kevin. We're talking about this one time. It's one of the few things we have in common is like, actually, that's probably one of Def Leppard's best songs. Probably right close to one of the last hits. But it also has, listen to this, has Alice in Chains, AC/DC, Tesla, 2 Alice in Chains, Megadeth, Fishbone, Cypress Hill, Anthrax, all on the same soundtrack. Queen's Rich, Aerosmith, all on there. By the way, Last Action Hero song was done by Tesla. It's awful. But here are some of the songs that I really do like. 2 Steps Behind by I'm not going to sing it. And Big Gun by AC/DC. 2 Steps Behind was by Def Leppard. And Where Is It? Oh, damn it. Alice in Chains, What the Hell Have I? Which is probably one of my top 5 Alice in Chains songs. So why is the soundtrack for Last Action Hero so good and the movie so bad?
One probably went through more reviews than the other.
Maybe.
The big thing was with that movie, and if I can say, well, I'm not going to be able to say this intelligently, but what the big gimmick behind that movie was it was supposed to be the everything in an action movie that they could put into one action movie and also make it comedic. And of course, one of those things back then anyway, with a action film is the soundtrack. And in my opinion, the soundtrack was the only thing that they got right. But
there's about 10 or 20 minutes of it that are good, and there's a few documentaries about what went wrong, and John McTiernan's actually talked about it fairly openly over the years. I'm assuming this was interviewed him after he got out of prison. Google John McTiernan. Fantastic director. Gave us Die Hard, Predator, Hunt for Red October, but he also gave us The Last Action Hero, which did his career no favors. It was a huge bomb. It was one of the last movies where Hollywood spent that kind of money on publicity.
Right.
I mean, it was on the space shuttle.
Yeah, it was huge.
You guys remember this?
Yeah, it was huge in terms of building up to it, and then it just came out, and they were like, "Wait, what the hell is this?"
I saw it in the theater. Didn't hate it. Of course, I would have only been...
I don't hate it. I enjoy it.
I'd only been 14, 15 years old. Tried watching it again a while back. I enjoy scenes in it, but it is just a mess of a movie.
It is so.
The problem is the genius idea behind it of making fun of being a satire of action films doesn't quite come across. It just comes across as sloppy, as a mess, and as one of those giant Hollywood films where so much money and so many ideas were spent or put into it that never did quite work. That being said, it has 4 or 5 damn good songs. AC/DC's Big Gun is really good. I don't know why they don't play it a lot, by the way. I don't hear anybody ever talking about it. You hear about Who Made Who. They did the soundtrack for, that's another, by the way, AC/DC must kill movies, because Maximum Overdrive, not a big hit. Who Made Who? Pretty big hit. Anyway. Last Action Hero is my pick.
James, that's your cue.
Oh, is it me again? Is this on?
I'm listen to Two Steps Behind.
Is Zorro on? No. I was going back and forth, and I've got to mention another one because it is a soundtrack for me. Even when I was debating whether or not I was going to take the job that I got, I literally thought of this song. I've got to talk about "Lose Yourself" by Eminem for 8 Mile. And I think what's so important about this song is it's the only song that was also written as the movie was being made. He wrote it on set. That's why there is illusions. He didn't write it before thinking, oh, they'll make this movie. He wrote it as the movie was being filmed. And some of the other actors actually talk about, he literally they'd call break and he would run and get a pen and write down. And that's why
makes sense because Mekhi Phifer is in the song.
It's mentioned. Yeah, this is my life, and there is no Mekhi Phifer. If you watch the film, Mekhi Phifer plays as somebody that kind of helps try to usher him. But Lose Yourself, much like the theme from Shaft, surprised a lot of people. Eminem didn't show up to the award ceremony because he thought he had no chance of winning, and sure enough, he won. And so it won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. And to be honest, I like the film 8 Mile. I've watched it a few times, but I'm much more likely to listen to the song than I am to revisit the movie.
I really like the movie, but I haven't watched it in a long time.
That's what I mean. The movie's really good.
Out on an acting career, actually.
Well, I was about to say, and I think he.
I have a story about that.
And he may not be done yet. We'll see. Because at one point he was going to be the Have Gun Will Travel movie. Allegedly, he was going to be in that.
He was going to be wanted too.
Yeah. He was going to be. That's who What's His Face wanted for Elysium.
Yeah.
Matt Damon. And I could not figure that out. I was like, Matt Damon's a fucking great actor. And then I watched Elysium and thought, geez, this movie, Eminem would have killed it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things when you watch, as much as I love Sam Raimi, but Oz is great and powerful, and you watch it and you go, it's okay. If you never knew that was supposed to be Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And then you think, and then as soon as you find out and you're watching it going, just don't do the movie. Right? Just don't do the movie because it has to be Robert Downey Jr. or someone close to that. It can't be James. I almost said Vanderbilt.
I don't know. Hell, give him a shot.
Anyway, no. James Vanderbilt.
So this was actually wrote on set, and according to Rolling Stone, actually, the initial recording of it was done on set in one take per verse. So he would do a verse, stop it, and then he'd come back and record the next verse. And then so the original take of it was one take per verse, but he did it as they were wrapping up filming on the same set. So, but I think, again, that's a song that definitely plays on the radio you don't have to see 8 Mile to know
No, I
that
don't. I think
song.
you're absolutely right. That song is. I'm not a big Eminem fan, but that's a good song.
Well, and it is like I said, to me it has a place because all the the teeter tottering between trying to raise my daughter and do all this other stuff, and I think there's something about that song that at least one or two lines will stick with you no matter where you are in your life, of trying to figure out what you should have done, what could have you done, what how do you get from where you are now to where you want to go, or how did you get to where you are from where you're from. So yeah, I think. Lose Yourself from 8 Mile is just a great, pretty powerful song that still plays on the radio. It's not quite to the oldie station yet, but every now and then I'll be listening to 104.5 The Cat. Hey, you could sponsor us. iHeartRadio. Hey, we're on there. Anyway, but they
it says they're selling ad revenue on our Bonehead episodes.
They could, but I mean, again, it still plays. It's still out there.
So I'm glad, James, you picked that because I'm gonna our two picks kind of transition. They flow well one with one another because mine's actually a rapper as well, who wrote his song for this movie in kind of the same way. I'm going to say the lyrics, just flowing smooth with the power, kicking it up hour after hour. Because in this life, there's only one winner. You better aim straight so you can hit the center. In it to win it with a team of 4. Ninja Turtles, you gotta adore. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
I hate you so much.
I am, of course, talking about the great Vanilla Ice, Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Is that on Netflix? Are the turtle movies on anything? I may show those to my son.
They are on something. I don't know what, but yeah, the Ninja Raps. It's also called the Ninja Rap song. It's also, but it also goes by Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. He wrote this.
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. That's the only thing anybody ever remembers. It's the shit that Splinter said. What's the song from the third shit movie where they go back in time?
Turtles in Time.
Oh, it's got to get back in time.
It should have been. Could they not have fork out some money to Huey Lewis and get that song for your movie?
Got to get back in time.
Shockingly, Vanilla Ice wrote this song in only 30 minutes, gentlemen.
To hell, you say.
But in his credit, that people really love it. They have some sort of attachment to it.
They do, and so do I. Because
and you have to remember that during that time that movie came out, either the summer before or the summer after, there was also a tour of the Ninja Turtles performing their own rock band. They had a tie-in with Pizza Hut where you could get their album.
Yep.
Y'all remember any of that?
I remember all of it. There's a great article on Cracked about the history of that.
Pizza Hut was too fancy for us to go to.
I know I didn't get to go. I just remember the commercials.
Unless it was a fucking book it.
You could get by the way, for half a second, I thought there was a possum behind your head, Joe. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I just saw fur fly behind you.
I think I did an hour and a half or 2 hour meeting the other day with behind him, and you could just see people and a couple people made Dr. Evil jokes and whatnot.
But anyway,
the cat behind me, people listening.
Yeah, I was saying, if you're listening, there's a cat that popped up behind you.
There's a big fluffy kitty.
But anyway, no. So I wanted to put that in perspective. That for some reason, between Ninja Turtles 1 and Ninja Turtles 3, there was this need to have Ninja Turtles be linked permanently to hip hop.
Well, so I don't understand that, but like I said, the whole thing with Ninja Turtles 2 is Ninja Turtles 1 is basically one of the best independent movies ever made, or one of the more successful independent movies ever made, and because they couldn't get funding. And they just made it themselves, and it came out, and it was this huge hit.
But didn't New Line distributed it, right?
New Line distributed it, and then that's where the problem.
So New Line didn't pay for that movie.
That's why it's not like the cartoon.
I thought New Line paid for it.
Let me do so. I don't want to talk out of turn, but it's considered one of the biggest independent films of all time.
Yeah.
But so the problem was that was a huge hit. And then the studio got into it and said, okay, all that stuff that made that movie a hit, we need to now make it more kid friendly.
Yep.
And that's where it just got
when Raphael's beat up and he's in the tub and you don't know if he's going to make it.
Yep.
Is I think is the original director. I want to say it's Stephen Brill. Boys, I'm not looking this up. I think he's the same guy that directed Critters.
I don't know.
You can look that up later, and don't tell Mom the babysitter's dead. Maybe I'm not for sure.
But I want to back onto Ninja Rap, James. There is an interesting trivia fact about this because of the internet being as shit as it is. Did you know that there's an internet rumor about the Go Ninja song?
No.
About who wrote it?
No.
There is a online conspiracy that Frank Miller wrote the theme song.
Oh my God. Now I'm interested. Now you got my attention. You should have led with that. You buried the lead, Chad. So,
I found a couple of things on this, and then I kept deep diving into it. And there's actually an article. Apparently there's a podcast, go figure. It was actually a YouTube, it was a vlog, it was a video thing. And some guy on this was making a joke about the song, and he speculated going, I wonder what would have happened if Frank Miller wrote it. And then of course the internet only heard one thing, and then it blew up from there. So now there's a conspiracy thing that Frank Miller actually wrote the song.
I want to say, by the way, for the record, in defense of your pick for number 2, I will say I did have the original soundtrack on cassette. I got it. I
don't remember any of the songs.
I got
it for my birthday when I was whatever year that came out. And I love that soundtrack. I literally played it till my tape broke.
I need to rewatch. I haven't seen those movies in 20 years at least. I wonder if the first one holds up.
The first one still holds up, but of course you don't like Willow now, so you're like, ugh. So no, you don't
I don't know
it.
that I liked Willow as a kid. No, I stand by it. I tried rewatching it, and you were talking about that Darn Cat, and Willow's pretty boring, and it's really uneven, and it hops a lot. I'm curious to know how much. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I'm really curious to know how much that screenplay was changed between when he wanted to do Lord of the Rings and ended up just doing Willow.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody out there that Lucas couldn't get the rights to Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I have a couple honorable mentions.
Go for it.
Y'all want me to go first?
Because honestly, I didn't do one because I thought Joe was going to do it. So I'm going to.
Honorable mentions that I want to bring up. I want to bring up Singing in the Rain because I didn't know the history of Singing in the Rain until I started doing it. Because I was like, oh, we probably need to mention one.
The actual song.
Yeah, the fact that the song
or the sequence.
The song. The fact that the song predates that movie by 30 years.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Here's the story behind that. The guy that wrote the song, or at least gets credit for writing the song, became the head of the musicals department, and he realized, wait a second, if I can get them to use one of my songs, I get paid twice. And all of a sudden he was like, hey, let's do an entire musical around this Singing in the Rain number. I got a good feeling about it. It was originally written in at least 1927, maybe before, and him getting credit for it is iffy. Like I said, I read that a couple different places, but I couldn't find 100% proof. So I'm saying that as being at least what was reported. But it was used in the Hollywood Review of 1929, released now as Hollywood Review. It was MGM took all their silent film stars that were transitioning to talkies and had them do it. So it had Laurel and Hardy. It had all these different people. The story, by the way, Lon Chaney was supposed to be in it, but he only had 3 pictures left for MGM, and he said, listen, I'll do it, but you got to count it as one of my 3 pictures and pay me my full salary. And they refused.
Oh.
And there's a song in that movie, by the way, called Lon Chaney Will Get You, and they had an actor put on a mask and pretend it was Lon Chaney underneath it, and he almost sued. And so for a while, if you bought that, it was actually that sequence was removed, but it's been restored now if you're if you're a musical completist. That being said, it was performed for that by the Lucky Strike B.A. Raff and the Lucky Strike Orchestra. Recorded it there. Jimmy Durante recorded it. Judy Garland recorded it.
The only person I ever heard called him Jimmy Durante. I've heard Jimmy Durante.
That threw me for a loop.
Judy Garland recorded it in the movie. And Little Nellie Kelly in 1940. Little Nellie Kelly in 1940.
Little Nellie Kelly.
I'm not making. Look it up.
You remember her hipster review?
She She recorded. It's in that movie. Judy Garland performs "Singing in the Rain" for that movie. What made me aware of it was because I was watching. The reason I wanted to include it was I was like, wait a second, Laurel and Hardy used it before that. If you watch the Laurel and Hardy movie, The Big Noise, which is a fun movie, they're doing work for this private detective and make the mistake of answering his phone, and so they have to go solve this case about a bomb. And anyway, Hardy gets in the shower, and the shower goes off, and he just starts performing "Singing in the Rain." But it came out before "Singing in the Rain." It came out in 1944. Long story short, everybody, if you go "Singing in the Rain," everybody automatically goes to the musical. But, and it should, but at the same time, just FYI, "Singing in the Rain" was an old song even then. And that's why in "Singing in the Rain," when it's a throwback to the 1920s, that's why that song's used, because it came from the 1920s. So I want to bring up "Singing in the Rain." Otherwise, I've got to mention just you can't talk about movie themes, because I think the one franchise that without fail will always launch.
Is this
with
really
song.
Just one honorable mention?
No, I said
It seems like you've been talking for 20 minutes.
No, well, I'd be less if you'd stop interrupting.
I doubt it.
The one franchise.
You throw in and a pause.
The one franchise that still launches music videos every time they have a movie come out, James Bond.
Yeah,
James Bond. Billie Eilish's new song for "No Time to Die." I listened to it the other day.
Did you like it?
It sounds like a 1970s kind of Bond film. I always do it by how much it sounds like a Sean Connery Bond. Like Garbage, Shirley Manson nailed that classic Bond sound to me.
Yeah.
If the World Was Not Enough. That is of the most recent, of the last 20 years or so of Bond films.
It's not a good movie, but it is a
great song. Bond song. Adele Skyfall. I think Skyfall, Adele belted that out. That was almost Tom Jones level of Thunderball. It's great. It was okay. I like it better than some of the other ones, but I was like, yeah, okay, it works.
I think I'm getting older because I don't really understand Billie Eilish. I just like
I think she's talented. I mean,
I heard the song and I'm just like, I can't.
Whispers a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Her Bond song is probably, and you would think it would be that Garbage would have been more emo, but her Bond song's a little emo. It's got a little emo tint to it. Maybe it makes sense. I haven't seen the film yet. I mean, we know it's going to be Daniel Craig's last one, and I read somebody did a spoiler that I was like, I didn't want to know that. That being said, I do think that's the exception to the rule, right? I mean, it's still a big deal if you're picked to be the Bond performer, the musical performer.
Oh, they make a big deal out of that more than they do the Bond film itself.
Oh, well, and that's usually because, I mean, and those still get radio play. Those still get, I had to listen to Madonna's Crap Fest 1,000 times because it played on the radio still.
I think the Bond film is the one exception to the rule of the song is actually a hit almost every single time it comes out.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, and by the way, I agree, Joe. That may be it's a pretty good Bond movie.
For the Pierce Brosnan ones, it's one of the better ones.
It is the world's worst Bond song. I will argue anybody that says there's a worst one.
It's pretty bad.
That's the bottom basement Bond song for me. Anyway, but I did want to mention the Bond films because you launch a Bond film, you're launching an album, you're launching a song. So those are my two honorable mentions: "Singing in the Rain," the history of that, and then the Bond films always have a song.
So the one I thought Joe was going to bring up, and which is why I chose not to do it, and I probably would have picked this over Killer Tomatoes, Caddyshack 2. Kenny Loggins.
That's going to be my honorable mention.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm going all the way. I still love hearing it. It's Footloose, Danger Zone. They all have their spot, but for me, I'm going all the way by Kenny Loggins is still the song that I prefer
it over the. As much as I like the theme, the one from Caddyshack, I actually prefer them going all the way a little bit. But I do. I think the problem is with the original one from Caddyshack is they cut out for the radio. You don't hear the actual whole song, and there's some places in that song it's like this is not very good.
Right.
From the original Caddyshack, but yeah. All right. That only leaves me one.
Well, then we mentioned it at the top of the episode, but Kiss from the Rose from Batman Forever. I mean, And the
Well,
song
that was a
already
big
existed
deal.
prior to
The
that.
song
It's just
existed, yeah, it did.
it already existed, but that song is forever connected to Batman
the
Forever.
video. I mean, it's because of the video too. Because you just had and they didn't. All they really did was the video basically just has the bat symbol in the
It's the
background.
bat signal with him singing in front of it and intercut footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Shirtless.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
Well,
is
he has an open shirt, I should say.
which every time I visit a cemetery, I make sure I have a wind machine in my shirt open.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, boys, that only leaves me my last honorable.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Now you got onto me for 2, but you let Chad just jibber jab off.
I know. I went to say something, and I was like, "Shut up, fatty! You're done." So keep going.
You went all the way through. I'm just naming songs, but Robin Hood, Everything I Do.
Yeah.
I don't like it now. I liked it then. Full disclosure, I liked it then.
I just, for everybody in the audience, I really just can't stand. There's probably 2 artists for some odd reason I just detest. It's him and John Mellencamp, Cougar Fuckstick.
Yeah, and I'm with Joe, but back then,
Brian Adams and him.
This is why I owned Brian Adams' Greatest Hits, and it's one of those purchases of CDs.
But he was successful at it, man. He's the one that did the Three Musketeers one too.
Well, him, Sting, and Rod Stewart. But
There's 2 others.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It was a trio.
I don't.
All for love.
I do want to say, by the way, for the record, I never was a Brian Adams fan. I don't know any Brian Adams, but Chad is right that song
was huge,
and it was forever linked to that movie.
Yeah, it's him singing in a forest. And then I also want to mention real quickly MC Hammer's version of the Addams Family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about that one briefly.
The problem is that you're too legit to quit.
They do what they want to do, say what they want to say, play how they want to play.
The Addams Family.
You can slap a friend.
And then finally, the last one I want to mention, actually, it was one of the things that started kickstarted me getting into CDs. Because I've never been a big music person, but Diane King's "Shy Guy" from the Bad Boys soundtrack.
From what?
Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Bad Boys.
Okay.
Diane. I might have said that name wrong. Hold on one sec. Not Diane King. Yeah, Diane King. Diana King.
No idea.
Shy Guy.
Diana Prince is completely different.
Yeah.
And hopefully we could have her on the show someday.
Nope. What's your one pick, Joe?
Fuck you. I'm gonna just start walking around reading after you've been going off for an hour and a half. The only one other pick that you all didn't mention that was much better and bigger than the movie, and I can't believe you didn't remember it, for Jiminy Christmas sakes, man. Her legs were insured for $1 million. I don't need another hero from the Thunderdome.
True.
Tina Turner.
Again,
we don't need another hero.
By the way, that also,
the name
you're
of the
right.
song? I can't remember. I was the only one that was coming through.
I don't know. I always think about it, and it's just that Joel, once again, Mystery Science Theater 3000 doing the joke of, can we just get beyond Thunderdome? Can we go beyond Thunderdome? Can we move on to something else?
Interesting thing, Robert Zemeckis thought he was going to get his ass kicked that summer with his little movie by the Thunderdome. That was the one that was supposed to come out and kill everybody. Was the new Mad Max. Turns out he had an okay shot with a little thing called Back to the Future.
Well, I was about to say, but and that to me is probably the least of the Mad Max films to date, at least.
Oh, of course.
But that being said, there are some scenes in it where I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll give you a bye. I mean, but the song is about
movie, but it's completely the least of the films.
Yeah, and that's and by the way, once again, still better than anything I've got out.
The least memorable. The least.
Yeah. Tina Turner is why you remember that film.
Yes. Tina Turner and that kid.
Yep, you're right. The kid.
You remember that visual with the hair and stuff. I think you just remember that kid. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's been movie thongs. The best. Movies of all time.
I know we're getting ready to go, but I actually should mention one more thing, because if not, we're going to get our street cred hurt. Queen, Highlander.
Actually, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. We should have talked about the Fat Boys doing their Freddy's song.
But I mean, the first Highlander, however you feel about that franchise, that movie doesn't work half as well if it doesn't have Queen.
That's something I revisit every 5 or 10 years and say, am I going to like it better now?
But no, I'm just saying that the song, the soundtrack, which was Queen released as A Touch of Magic, I believe, or A Kind of Magic.
I don't remember the album.
It's
but
a kind
was
of
all
magic.
Queen
It's a kind of
soundtrack,
magic.
yeah.
But I mean, the song that they used the sample from the movie for Kurgan, Better Burn Out Than Fade Away, all that stuff, and once again Clancy Brown. That's because the first Highlander movie I think is so great because you do have a great villain. The other one, anyway. But I just want to throw that out because I almost forgot about that. But we do need to give Queen props for Highlander being as good as it is, whether you like it or not. Queen works for that movie.
And if there's a really obscure one we forgot about, we'd love to hear it. We tried not to talk too much about the ones that everybody knows. So if you've got an obscure one, let us know that. Love to hear your. I mean, dude, we talk about Pet Sematary is a damn good song. Actually, sometimes it's better than the movie. The movie's good too. It just suffers from
and it's iconically performed by the Ramones. Yeah. I mean, they didn't do a ton of soundtracks. It's
probably the Ramones' biggest hit, don't you think, on the actual Billboard Top 40 album charts? Probably was.
And again, on tons of Halloween CDs now. So
yeah, it's a good song. All right. So thank you all so much. Anybody got anything to give before we go?
Is Chad distracted by his own ceiling fan? He just looks like
he's masturbating. Were you taking a pee?
Sure.
No, all of the above? What was going on there?
I've been hunched over and my back hurts. I don't have anything funny to say about that. Just literally my back hurts and this alleviates the pain from it.
Okay. Well, we're going to let Chad go do number 2. So you guys have a good night.
Who does number 2 work for? I showed that to my kids.
My butt.
All right. Thank you. This has been Bonehead Weekly. Share and subscribe.